Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Corby Gage, the Executive Director of Coastal Housing Partnership. And with us today is Kim Pascage, who is also with Coastal Housing Partnership. And appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. We'll just be going through a prepared presentation, and then we're going to spend as much time as we can with your questions. It's really important that we address the questions and issues that you have, and we want to make sure we focus on those. So if you would put your questions in the Q&A, you can put those in there at any time. Kim will be monitoring those, and when we come to the end of our the PowerPoint presentation, we will take those questions. So pop them in there whenever they come to your mind. They're not going to interrupt anything, and we'll just make sure that we get to those. It's most important to us that we address that. So the format for today is a webinar, which means we can't see you and we can't hear you. So the only way you have to communicate is through chat or through the Q&A. So please do communicate any kind of technical issues that you might be having through the chat. Kim will be monitoring that. And then again, any questions you have about the home buying process or about Coastal Housing Partnership, please put that in the Q&A. So let's get started. All right, so Coastal Housing Partnership is a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to help local employees reduce their housing costs, as well as to get them on their path to home ownership if that's what they want to do. So we offer a variety of housing benefits, and you all are eligible for those benefits since your employers are members of Coastal Housing Partnership. So these benefits are available to you at no charge. We offer home buying education. We do these webinars. We're also going to be offering a couple of home buying fairs this year. And we also offer savings when you are buying a home, savings on your closing costs. If you're refinancing a mortgage, we will help you with your upfront costs of refinancing. We have a rental housing assistance program so that if you're looking to get a new apartment, we work with a number of landlords that offer savings on the rent for our employees. And our newest program is our rental search site, which is rentals.coastalhousing.org. It's a different site from our site, which is coastalhousing.org. And on the rental search site, you can explore vacancies, residential vacancies in Santa Barbara County and Ventura County. And it's a great site that has a lot of great features. You can put in there your criteria, your search criteria, whether it's location or size of the unit, whether you're looking to have it be pet friendly, if you need a yard, whatever your criteria is, you can put that in there. And then the properties that match that criteria will pop up for you. Once you've left the site, if a property comes up that meets your criteria, you'll be notified and you'll get an email about that. So it's a great site, and I encourage you to check it out if you are looking for a new rental. So as I mentioned, there's a benefit for you if you are buying a home, and Coastal Housing Partnership has a program that can save you up to 50% or more of your closing costs. Closing costs when you're buying a home are in addition to your down payment. So it's something you need to save up for. But if we can help you reduce that by 50%, that's going to make it that much easier for you to get into a home. We do that by working with local real estate professionals. They're part of the Coastal Housing Partnership Network. They're called our network partners. And they're real estate agents, home inspection companies, lenders, a couple of residential developers, and a moving company. And they all offer savings for the employees of our member companies. And there's a list of those network partners on our website, which is coastalhousing.org. And up in the nav on the top, it'll say network partners. You can click on that. You can search by name or alphabetically or by the company name. However you want to search for that, you can find that list. And there's also a list of Spanish-speaking lenders and agents on the website. So here's how that home buying benefit works. This is an example of a $750,000 home purchase. If you're using a lender on our list, they're going to typically waive the processing fee and credit report fee, which run about $500. So if they're waiving that, you're saving about $500. I try to be conservative in this example. We work with a number of lenders that offer at least this savings. Some offer more. They may waive the appraisal fee or take off a flat $1,000. You can see on our website what each of those lenders offers. So, but this is kind of the minimum savings that you would be able to achieve. The home inspection fee, and that fee is going to vary depending on the size of your home, but it can average about $500. There's a 10% savings on that, saving you about $50. We also have a few that save 15%. So again, being conservative in this example. The home inspection is something that you, as the buyer, order the home inspection. You are asking a professional to come out, take a look at the property that you've made an offer on and the offer's been accepted. And they're going to give you a really good second look at that property. They're going to tell you, is there anything wrong with the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical systems, the roof, all those things that are kind of hidden to us. And they're going to be able to identify any maintenance that's been deferred or anything that needs to be repaired. These are big ticket items. So this is really good information for you to have in that home inspection. And I would highly recommend doing the home inspection report so that you know what you're getting into. Now, the real estate agent savings is going to be a little different because you as the buyer are not paying your real estate agent. So there's a real estate agent who works for the seller, and that's the listing agent. And then you have your agent working for you, the buyer's agent, and the seller is paying both of those agents. So you have someone representing you and you don't have to pay them. So there's not going to be a savings since you're not paying them. But what this is going to be is just a credit to you, and you can put that toward your other closing costs. So in this case, on the $750,000 purchase, if your agent is making 2.5%, and that's a typical fee that they receive, that the seller's agent gets the 2.5% and your agent gets 2.5%. In this case, that would be $18,750. Of that, your agent, if you're working with someone in our network, is going to give you 20% of that, or $3,750. So now you have that money to put towards your other closing costs. So this comes to you through escrow, and then you just come up with that much less money when it comes time to close. As you can see in this example, you can save about $4,300 on your closing costs. That's a really nice savings. And you can use any part of this that you like. So say you have a friend who's a lender and you'd like to use that individual, great. That you would get that savings unless they're in our network, but you could still use the home inspection, you could still use the real estate agent and still have a nice savings. So it's up to you how much of this you use. But again, you do need to be working within our network. All right, well, let's get started on your path to home ownership. What is the first step? That's always the big question is, how do I get started? What do I do? You want to start with the lender first. And this might seem, unusual because in most transactions, you're thinking about what you're going to buy and you figure out what you want to buy and then you figure out how to pay for it. With a home purchase, it's the other way around. You want to figure out what you can afford, and then you can start shopping for properties that you know that you can afford because the lender said that they would give you that loan amount. So instead of kind of guessing how much you can afford or what price range you're in, you know exactly your price range because you've seen a lender first. And a lender is fully expecting you to come to them before you found a home. That is just the way the industry works. So take the time to meet with the lender. Oftentimes we think, well, I'm not going to meet with the lender until, I'm saving up some money for down payment, or I'm waiting for a promotion or a raise or whatever you're thinking you're waiting for. You would want to meet with the lender. I would go ahead and meet with them now. If you think you're buying it anytime within the near future, it's a good idea to meet with that lender first. You might find that you're ready to buy sooner than you expected. Maybe there's a loan program out there, or interest rates are such that you can afford more than you thought. So this is just a really good first step to take and get the lender on board with you, get them part of your home buying team, and find out how much home you can afford. So when you call the lender, you're asking for a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification. Often a pre-qualification is just more of a simple thing. Sometimes it's just verbal. They might say, well, how much money does your household make? And you say X amount. They say, oh, well, based on that, I might loan you this amount of money. So they haven't done any of the work that would verify that. They haven't checked your income, run your credit, or checked assets. They're just giving you a really rough ballpark estimate. So you want to ask for that pre-approval, and that's going to be almost a guarantee that they're going to loan you that amount of money when it comes time for you to buy the home. So that puts you in a really good position. If you are making an offer on a home, you really want to have a pre-approval attached to that offer. In a situation where there's multiple offers, if someone else has a pre-approval and you don't, it's going to be very hard to have a seller look seriously at your offer. So you want to have that pre-approval. It's a really important negotiating tool, and there's no cost to you to get a pre-approval. So the lender does a considerable amount of work, but they don't get paid until they actually make the loan to you, and then they get a commission on that. So there's no cost to do it. It makes sense to take that step right away. Sometimes they'll charge you for the credit report. A lot of the lenders that we work with don't even charge you for that, but if you are charged for the credit report, I think that's a really worthwhile thing for you to get, because a mortgage loan credit report is different from a consumer credit report. And so if you know what your credit score is from having a credit card that gives you that information periodically, that's great. You kind of tracking how you're doing on your credit score, but it's not what the lender is looking at when you're looking at getting a home loan. So you want to know what they're working with. So how do you get pre-approved? Well, they're going to have you fill out an application, and they're going to review 4 things: your income, your assets, credit, and your debt. So they're looking at income. They want to see W-2, a couple of years of tax returns. And so that's how they'll verify your income. When they're looking at assets, if you have a stock account, a retirement account, savings, wherever you're saving money, they're looking for where is the down payment that you're going to be putting on for this property. Of course, they're looking at your credit. Credit is a really important piece of this deal. Credit is generally the best indicator to that lender that they're going to get paid back. So if the stronger credit score you have, the better. So they will run your credit score. And debt, how much other debt do you have? So this one I always want to give you caution about, because a lot of times people see this and go, oh, debt, I should pay off all my debt before trying to get a home loan. Not necessarily. I wouldn't take any bold steps like that until you had met with the lender and see what they recommend in terms of the entire picture. A lot of people have different concepts of what a lot of debt is. Someone may, who has $3,000 of debt may think that's a lot. And the lender may just go, well, that's really, barely even counting that because your monthly payment is so small for that. Where someone else might have 30,000 of debt, and that also may be not a problem for the lender. But it's really varies in how you look at that through what lens. You want to make sure it's the lender telling you, not you, because you don't want to be maybe going in and paying off all your credit cards, all your debt and then finding out you've used up a big chunk of your down payment. So talk to the lender about that before you make any big moves like that. Of course, you want to be paying at least the minimum amount every month on every credit card or any installment debt that you have, and on time. That's, vital that you are doing that. But in terms of, working really hard to pay one thing off, you might not necessarily be wanting to do that. Look to the lender as a really, helpful resource in terms of what you might do to improve your credit. How would you get yourself in a better position to be a competitive home buyer? These are all things that the lender can help you do, and instead of you guessing on your own. So the lender's looking at a housing expense to income ratio. So when you own a home or when you're buying a home, they're looking at housing expense divided by your gross income. And the lender generally likes to see that in a 40% range. And that's a very rough ballpark, depending on your other debt, how good your credit is. They might go higher, depending on how much other debt you have. Maybe they aren't going to go quite that high, but that's kind of a rough ballpark, just so you understand what their process is. So about 40%. So what goes into your housing expense? When you're buying a home, they look at your mortgage payment, which consists of principal and interest. So the amount that the principal is what you're paying yourself back. And then the interest, what you're paying is the cost of that loan. Your real estate taxes or property taxes, and then your homeowner's insurance. And if you are looking at a condo or a townhome, it would be the homeowners association fee that they would put in for your housing expense. And in that situation, the homeowner's insurance is in that fee. And then they'll also add in a small amount for interior coverage, which would be a little bit like a renter's policy. And then optional mortgage insurance. We're going to talk about that in a bit when we talk about different types of down payments. You may or may not have mortgage insurance. So, but if you do, this would be considered part of your housing expense. So they're not looking at your utilities and your internet connection or trash service, any of that. These are the only things that go into what they consider your housing expense. And they're looking at dividing that by your gross income. And then they back into the amount of money that they would loan you. So when they tell you that amount of money that they would be willing to loan you, that is not the purchase price. You're taking that loan amount plus your down payment, and that's your purchase price. So once you have this information, you can see how really focused and targeted you could be in your home buying search. You know exactly your price range. You know this lender is going to give you this loan. You have this down payment. And so you can be really confident in searching in that price range, and that you're not, wasting your time, looking at properties that are too expensive, or that you find, oh, I could have afforded, a more expensive home. So this just gives you such good information. And having that pre-approval is just, as I mentioned, a really good tool for you to go forward in your home buying search. Credit is a big part of the process. Your credit score. Getting pre-approved could slightly impact your credit score, but generally not by a large amount, maybe 5 points, and that will certainly recover. I think that small dip in your credit score would be completely worth getting that pre-approval, because it's such an important tool for you to know where you are in the process and in terms of your negotiating. So it's a really good idea to get that pre-approval, even though there's going to be some impact for your credit score. You don't want to be going and opening up a bunch of new credit lines. So it's tempting when you go to a store and they say, well, if you open our credit card today, you're going to save 20%. It's a really smart move financially, but it doesn't help your credit score in general, unless you don't have enough lines of credit. And that's a conversation that your lender will have with you. If they find, oh, you really only have one credit card, they might think, oh, it's a good idea for you to open up a couple more. But don't do that on your own. Do that through, again, the lens of the lender. Let them help you decide that. But you wouldn't want to, just in general, be opening up new lines of credit because the more lines of credit that you open in a short period of time, the bigger negative it is to your credit score. So if, opening one credit card, might be a 5-point impact to you. If you were to open 5 cards in a short period of time, you're thinking, well, is that a 25-point impact? It might be something more like a 75-point impact negative to your score, because you're doing it in a short period of time. The credit scoring model looks at this and says, what's going on? Is there a reason for needing to open up these credit lines? Is there income loss? Does someone lose a job? What's going on? So it kind of puts a big alert on that. It takes a big chunk of your credit score and reduces that. So you don't want to be opening up new credit lines. You don't want to be trying to get a new car right before looking at getting a pre-approval on a home loan. These are all things that are going to have an impact on your credit. And as I mentioned, that credit score is so important in terms of the lender knowing that you're going to be a good borrower and that you will pay them back. So that's really going to impact often your loan amount, your loan rate, a number of things. So you want that to be as strong as possible. And working with the lender is going to give you, they're going to give you suggestions because they're going to, they look at credit reports all day long. They know what's going to be impacting your score negatively. So they might be able to identify something that if you do differently, you're going to be able to see your score go up. So I think that's another good reason to get to a lender sooner rather than later. So even if you don't think you're ready to buy for a couple of years, it's a good idea to get with a lender and get through this process. And you don't want to be trying to fix your credit right as you're making an offer on a home. These are things you want to do in advance. So get with a lender and check with them on what you can do to improve your score. So how a loan is priced. Of course, we focus in on the interest rate, and that's the big piece of a loan price, but there's 2 other components to the loan price. That's also points and fees. So a loan is priced by looking at the interest rate, the points, and the fees. And it's important for you to know that particularly if you're comparing rates, because if you call one lender and they say they have, a 5% rate and someone else says they have 4.75% rate, if you don't ask about points and fees, you aren't really seeing the total picture on their pricing. So you want to ask all of those things: the interest rate, the points, and the fees. Points and fees are paid upfront. They're closing costs, lender closing costs. We talked about the closing costs and the way we can save you money on that. So closing costs are generally the lender fees, escrow fees, and title insurance fees. Those are the big ones. There's also some other smaller fees, but those are the big ones. So lender fees, points and fees are going to be lender closing costs. Fees, you want to ask the lender, what are all of your fees? How much are they? It would be like processing fee, application fee, underwriting fee, appraisal fee. What are all of their fees? And then points. Points are prepaid interest. So if you're paying points on a loan, it means you're paying interest up front. If you're paying interest up front, it makes sense that you would pay less interest as you go. So there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and points. So if you pay points, you pay a little lower interest rate for the life of the loan. If you don't pay points, and it's up to you if you do or not, you're paying a little higher interest rate for the life of the loan. So it really comes down to an individual circumstance and what makes sense for you and for your family's financial situation. A point is 1% of the loan amount. So if you have a $500,000 loan and you're paying 1 point, you're paying 1% or $5,000 for that point, and that's upfront. So as I mentioned, it's up to you whether you pay points or not. How do you know whether you should or not? Let's run through an example that'll help kind of have you understand a little bit more what points do and whether they make sense for you or not. And every individual has a different circumstance. So you would want to make sure you're working through this with your lender. But conceptually, if you have a $500,000 loan and you're paying 1 point, that's $5,000. Well, you're going to have a lower interest rate because you paid that point. So maybe your interest rate lets you save $1,000 of interest each year. All right, so you paid $5,000 up front. You're saving $1,000 of interest a year. At the end of 5 years, you've recouped that $5,000 investment. Now, if you keep that loan it's a 30-year loan. If you keep that loan for 30 years, you're going to continue to save $1,000 every year on that interest. So now you're going to save another $25,000. So that was a very good decision. For $5,000, you're getting $25,000 over that. So that made sense. If you think this is maybe a starter home, or you're just not going to be in that property for very long, you pay a point, and maybe you're in that home for 3 or 4 years. You paid the point, or $5,000. You're saving $1,000 every year for 3 years. You're recouping $3,000, but you paid $5,000 to accomplish that. So you can see the shorter period of time that you have the loan, the less sense it makes to pay points. Work this out with your lender. Just say, show me numbers if I pay points, show me numbers without. You can determine what that period to recover that upfront investment would be. Again, it's up to you. Sometimes you're making that decision just because you want to put all of your savings into your down payment, and it would make more sense to put it into a down payment rather than paying the point. So again, that's up to you. But it is an important part of comparing loan rates, knowing all of those interest rate, points, and fees. So the types of loans, the term of the loan. The term is the length of the loan. So most home loans are 30-year terms. The reason for that is you're borrowing a large amount of money. You've got to pay it back over the term of the loan. So that 30 years allows that principal, that payment, or what you have borrowed and what you're needing to pay back, be smaller and more full. You'll see for interest rates on shorter term loans. So maybe you have a 15-year loan. You might see that and say, oh, well, that's a much lower interest rate. That makes more sense, but your principal portion of what you're paying yourself back is going to be much higher, and maybe that makes that loan unaffordable. So that's why most folks are looking at a 30-year term. But it's up to you what you do, whether it's 15-year, 20-year, 30-year. But that, again, the period of that term is how your loan is amortized and how you're paying back what you've borrowed. The types of loans, that's going to be the type of loan in terms of the interest rate. So there's the fixed interest rate loan or an adjustable interest rate loan. The fixed interest rate means that the interest rate is the same for the life of the loan. So a fixed rate loan for you gives you no interest rate risk. For the lender, they do have interest rate risk. If interest rates in the market go up, they're still getting, say they go up to 8%, they're still getting 5% from you. So from their standpoint, that's one of the riskier loans. So they're going to price a fixed rate loan higher than they would an adjustable rate loan. So a fixed rate loan is typically going to be priced higher than another loan. An adjustable loan means that the loan interest rate can adjust with the market. So you might start at 4% and could go to maybe 8% over the life of the loan. It will change with the market. So an adjustable rate loan is the least risky for the bank. So they're going to start you off lower. And so it's up to you then to decide, is that something that's you're comfortable with? If interest rates in the market go up, your rate can go up. You have to ask the lender, how frequently can that loan adjust? How much can it adjust each time it adjusts? So say it can adjust once a year and it can only go up 1% each year. That's the answers that you're looking to find out. and can it go up over the life of the loan. So if it starts maybe at 4, does it max out at 9? How you want to understand what those numbers are. And so you're also asking what's happening with the payment. So it's one thing for us to go, okay, it goes from 4% to 6%. What does that mean to the payment? Because you want to make sure you're not going to lose your home because you can't afford the interest rate adjustment. So you really want to be comfortable with that and understand that if you are going with an adjustable rate loan. But that will start at a lower rate because it's less risky for the bank. So it's really up to you what type of loan you go with. There is a feature on an adjustable loan that allows you to have a fixed period with that. So say you think, okay, well, this is a short-term property for me. I don't really want to pay that higher interest rate for a 30-year fixed loan, but I'm not comfortable with an adjustable loan. You can get an adjustable loan with a fixed period. So maybe 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. It's up to you. And for that period of time, the interest rate would be fixed. Now, generally, that is going to be priced lower than a fixed rate loan. The longer period that it's going to be fixed for is going to be more expensive. So you're just looking at that and seeing what fits your family's needs, what fits your holding period for that property, and what fits your interest rate risk tolerance. So that's really up to you. So again, work that out with the lender. They can show you numbers and you can analyze what fits you. All right, your down payment. So many people think we need a 20% down payment. And that used to be the case. If you didn't have 20% down, you just didn't buy a home. Now there's a lot of options that you have. You don't need a 20% down. So another good reason to go talk to a lender and find out what loan programs are available. The reason for that 20% down historically is that the lender then feels like, oh, if you as the borrower have 20% equity in the home, you're much less likely to default on the loan or walk away from the home if if you can't if you can't afford the home anymore, or if the market depreciates. They don't want to be caught holding that home. If you have a 20% down, you're more likely to stay in that. So they're looking to mitigate their risk. One of the ways they can do that is through mortgage insurance. We talked about mortgage insurance being part of that housing expense. This is where that comes in. Mortgage insurance is insurance that you, as the borrower, are paying, and the lender benefits if you default on the loan. So this isn't insurance for your family or if you lose your job. This is insurance for the lender, but it's protection for them that allows you to have less than a 20% down payment. So maybe you have 10% down. You can come in, you get 90% financing, pay mortgage insurance, and then you only need that 10% down. So the mortgage insurance, typically private mortgage insurance is going to vary depending on your credit score, the amount of the loan, a number of factors, but it might be 0.6 to 0.8% of the loan amount per year. And you do not have to pay it for the life of the loan. You only are paying that as long as you don't have 20% equity. So as you pay down your loan, as I mentioned, you're paying that, every month you're paying interest and principal. When you pay principal, you're paying down the loan. And if the market appreciates, both of those things are working together to you to get 20% equity. Once you achieve that, you can go to your lender and talk about how you can get rid of that mortgage insurance. So you don't want to continue paying that beyond when you need to. There's another type of loan. It's called a piggyback loan, and that is 2 loans. So you would get an 80, so say you have 10% down, you get an 80% first loan, 10% second loan, 10% down. So the 80% first loan thinks there's a 20% down payment out there, so it's going to be the best interest rate. So you're going to get a very attractive interest rate on that 80% first. The 10% second, it's called second because it gets paid off second if you default on the loan. So it's a riskier loan for the bank. There's going to be a higher interest rate on that, but it's a smaller loan. So generally the blended rate of that 80% loan, very attractive rate, and then the 10% loan at a higher rate could be a nice blended rate for you. And then you're paying 10% down. This scenario does not require mortgage insurance. So in this case, you're paying a little higher interest rate on that second mortgage, but you're not paying mortgage insurance. A lot of realtors will mention to you the FHA loan because it's a really attractive loan for some reasons, and there's some downsides to it. But the main thing is it's a 3.5% down, so that is very attractive. You don't have to save as much money for your down payment. You also don't need as strong of a credit score, but there are some downsides to the FHA, so you don't want to just go into it blindly. So it's 3.5% down, lower credit score. There is mortgage insurance on it. And I mentioned before, we were talking about private mortgage insurance. This is government mortgage insurance, so it's dictated to the lender. They don't have control over that. So the FHA mortgage insurance has an upfront fee of 1.75%, or as you know it now by points, that's almost 2 points. That's upfront. And you could also put that into the loan amount, roll it into the loan amount, but that means you're paying a higher monthly payment every time you make a payment because it's a larger loan. And then you're also paying 1.5% each year on that mortgage insurance. So about double private mortgage insurance. And in addition to that, you can never get rid of it. So even after you have that 20% equity that we talked about with private mortgage insurance, you can't get rid of the mortgage insurance on an FHA loan. So the only way to get rid of it is to refinance your loan. So that would be your option there. So you just want to take that into account, that this would be an ongoing cost that you would have. And does that make sense for you to do the FHA loan, or look to other low down payment loan programs which are available? And those are things you want to talk to your lender about. If you, it's probably a good thing to ask for in one of your first calls is, what low down payment loan programs do you have in addition to FHA, and find out if they have some good options for you, and decide if that's a good lender, that good fit for you. If you're a veteran, the VA loan is a wonderful loan. It's 0% down, no mortgage insurance. There is an application fee, and that's going to vary depending on a number of factors in your eligibility. But if you're a veteran, I would definitely explore the VA loan. It's a really nice option. But again, you don't need 20% down, and check out the other low down payment loan options available. Okay, now you've done all the work to get the loan, and now it's time to meet with your real estate agent. So I think it's vital to be working with a real estate agent. A lot of people think, oh, well, you find so much information online, you probably can find the property that you want to buy. I'm going to save money if I don't work with an agent. Well, if we talked about before, you as the buyer aren't paying the agent anyway. So there's, you're not saving money. And if you were going to use an agent on our list, you're actually putting money in your pocket to put towards your other closing costs. So highly recommend using agent. They are going to know the market so well. And this is just something that, you really are investing in, having that professional working for you. The seller's probably going to have an agent working for them. And if you're trying to go it on your own, it can be pretty complicated in terms of there's a lot of aspects of the offer agreement that might be hard, for you to really grasp and understand what the impact to you is. Your real estate agent can walk you through that. And then I think one of the main reasons it's so important to be working with an agent these days is in a situation where there's multiple offers. Oftentimes, even offering full price might not get you the property. If a property is very well priced, you might have to go in over asking, and a real estate agent's going to be able to help you recommend what price to offer. You don't want to be, losing out on that home because you thought offering full price was a great idea. You might have to come in over asking. You still don't want to be coming in over what you're comfortable with, but sometimes it is over the asking price. In other cases, a property might have been on the market for some time, and this might be something that you can pick up that would be something less than market price. Maybe the family has moved and they really need to get that house sold, and they're willing to take something less than full price. So that's something that the real estate agent's going to know the market well enough to advise you on that. It's really essential that you're communicating with your real estate agent. Let them know your price range. You want them to be showing you properties that fit your needs, your wish list, your must-haves, and making sure that they're going to show you properties that fit that. And you might, as you're going through the process, might find that your wish list or your must-haves change throughout that process. You might find that some of the things that you thought were really important cost more than you thought, and you thought, well, that's not such a priority for me anymore. I'm willing to not have a yard if there's a park across the street and we can take the dogs to the park. Whatever that is, you are able to kind of change your priorities, communicate that to your real estate agent. There might be a whole nother list of properties that they could show you that they were holding off showing you because they didn't meet your must-have lists. So vital to work with an agent. And again, if you can work with an agent on our list, then you are going to have some nice savings on your closing costs. Program eligibility. This program for your closing cost savings is not just first-time home buyers. It's for anyone, any employee of a member company. There's no income restrictions. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. All you need is a letter of authorization, and you get that from our website, coastalhousing.org. On the homepage, there's 6 squares, and one of them will say letter of authorization. You fill out that application, submit that online, and we'll send you that letter, and you would provide that letter to the network partners that you're working with, whether it's the agents or the lenders. That's just proves your eligibility. All right, now it's time for your questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Sometimes questions come up for you now. Sometimes questions come up for you as you're going through the home buying process. We encourage you to call our office anytime with any questions you have. But hopefully you have some questions now that we can address.
Hi, Corby. Yeah, so our first question is about lines of credit. They're asking if they have a car or furniture loans and pay them regularly, but don't have credit cards. Would that be an issue in buying a home?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things that the scoring model likes to see is different types of credit, but generally once you have a proof that you're paying back something that you have borrowed in a timely fashion, and you're paying back every month on time the amount that you're asked to pay back, that's going to build a strong credit score. That would be something I would check with the lender on and see if they feel like not having a credit card is impacting you negatively in terms of your score, because again, you want that score to be as strong as possible. If that is the case, very easy to just open up a new credit card. You don't have to, you can just pay for your groceries on that and then pay that back each month. So you don't wind up with a lot of credit card debt. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with credit card debt, and fair point. So you would just, monitor that and just say, I'm just going to put my gas on it, or just going to put the groceries, and then I'm going to pay it back each month. So you don't get, in over your head, but it might make sense for you to have a credit card. It certainly, wouldn't hurt in this case, but you can see, I would definitely check with the lender and see how much that's impacting your score.
Mm-hmm. Good question. And then talking about for our program, is there a minimum home price or a maximum to use the program?
No, there's not. So any home that you find in Santa Barbara County, Ventura County, or San Luis Obispo County, you can use our home buying closing cost program on. There's no minimum amount, there's no maximum. It can be a mobile home, a single family home, a condo, townhome, duplex, whatever you find that you want to buy, you can use the program. And there is a limit on the commission credit that you receive from the real estate agent. The maximum amount that you can receive from them is $7,500. And that would be if you're buying $1.5 million, $1.5 million home, that would be the equivalent of that $7,500. So there is a max on that.
The next question here is, if you enter into a loan with less than 20% and you're paying PMI and then the market goes down, are you still able to get out of PMI once you have paid that 20%?
There's two ways to do it. One is through the market going up, because the equation is what you owe on the loan divided by the market value. So if the market value goes up, that helps that equation get to, you're looking to be at 80% or less for that loan to value ratio. If the market goes down, then that's going to be harder to accomplish, but you still can accomplish it by the fact that you're paying down what you have borrowed on the loan amount every month. So the numerator on that equation is going to help get you to that 20% equity. So yes, you can still accomplish that, but it's nice when you have market appreciation combined with the fact that you're paying down your loan. But you can do it strictly on just paying down your loan. And as you get down to that loan to value ratio of 80% or less, then you can accomplish that.
Great. And then the next question here, this person has a partner, they're not married. Can they get a loan with their combined debt to income ratio? Do they have to be married if they were both co-signers, or?
You do not have to be married. No, you can buy a home with anyone. So a partner, a spouse, it's up to you. You don't have to be married to have that income combined. So you would both just need to be on the loan and the title, and they can use both incomes in that situation. And you only need one person to be part of Coastal Housing Partnership to still take advantage of the savings. So if the partner is not part of Coastal Housing Partnership, that's fine, as long as just one of you is.
Great. Our next question is it recommended to take a loan from credit unions versus other lenders?
Credit unions always a good choice. If you have access to a credit union, I would definitely see what loan programs they have, see where their interest rates are. Always a good option to check there. And we have the Ventura County Credit Union as part of our network. So in addition to possibly being a better interest rate for you, they also take some money off their closing costs for our employees. But regardless of whether you're working with them or another credit union, I would certainly check with them.
Great. I don't see any other questions. Again, feel free to add those right now. We're here to answer all your questions. And we'll wait just a moment if you want to add any. And
you can see on this screen, you've got my email address, Corby@coastalhousing.org, and Kim's, Kim@coastalhousing.org. You can always reach out to us. And if we didn't fully answer your question, but maybe not understanding it, please reach out. We can answer that, or any other questions you have. We also have a great online education tool on our website. So you would just go to the nav on the top, it'll say Home Buying Education. If you click on that, it takes you through the steps of home ownership. It starts with pros and cons, meeting with a lender, selecting a real estate agent, just takes you through the whole process. So you just kind of decide where you are in that process and jump in there. And there's a lot of good information there. We've tried to distill that down to give the information that's necessary for you to have, as well as then give some links for some deeper dives if you want more information in a certain area.
Great. We have 2 more questions, and I put all those links in the chat if you guys want to reference those.
Thanks, Kim.
So yeah, so the next question is, do you have a list of real estate agents that you recommend in the SV area? And yes, we do.
Yeah, so that Kim's put that link in there. That is on our website. And if you reach out to us, we can also send you a list as an attachment, a PDF, if you like.
And in the chat, you'll look under that network service partners, and you can search by agents and location. So it's an easy way to search by location there. The next question is, this person's dad is a veteran and has a VA loan that they've never used. Would I be able to co-sign a house with him and still receive the benefit of that VA loan?
Yeah, generally, I think the veteran has to be an owner occupied situation, but I would certainly ask, because I'm not an expert on that, so I'd certainly ask the lender, but I think it's designed for, so if you were occupying the home with the vet, then I think that would work, but don't go strictly on that, because I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but sometimes
they would qualify for the coastal housing if they were on it as well, like
yes,
you said. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and oftentimes a vet can have multiple, it can have a loan before and can get another loan, so that a lot of it depends on the eligibility. So you just want to check with a lender who knows that program really well to answer some of those finer points.
Mm-hmm. Great. I don't see any other questions at this point.
Okay, well, if you do, you know how to reach us, and thank you. Oh, there's something else just drop in.
Oh yeah, one more. Okay, here we go. Oh, thank you. We got to thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And thank you for joining us today. And again, please reach out at any time. We just want to be a resource for you. We don't make any money on your transaction, so we're not trying to push you into anything. We don't want to have you getting in over your head or doing something that doesn't make sense for you. We just want to give you the information and the tools and the resources to get on your path to home ownership. So thanks for joining us, and look forward to hearing from you.
Also, we'll send out the recording of this.
Yes, thank you for reminding me that we'll send out the recording to all of you. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, everyone.